Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Dwell Well podcast. I'm Heather.
I'm Rebecca.
And I'm Kate. Join us each week when we uncover a new secret of the home industry. When it comes to buying, selling, staging, styling, or organizing your home, nothing is too taboo if it matters to you. On this episode of the Dwell Well podcast, we talk about our best friend Karen in the HOA. Love it or hate it, is it a necessary evil? Tune in to find out. So grab a seat and a mimosa. It's time to dwell well.
She could do her
I'm like
Sean Connery voice.
Sean Connery.
Little Shuggy Boogie.
Hold on.
We are definitely watching that Sweaty Balls thing.
Hold on.
I feel like I need to.
Hold on. I need a...
This whole microphone thing with the sound of the voices sounds like it.
I
So
hate the
funny.
sound of my voice. And
Sean Connery was so attractive, guys.
He was.
Did you know that he died on Halloween 2020? I just found that out.
Sean
Did not
Connery?
know that.
I don't
He
know
was
that-
very
Sean
good looking.
Connery. Oh,
Very
I don't know that I knew he was
Forever.
dead.
so attractive.
Hmm.
Hold on.
I saw an ad with Ben Affleck last night, and I was like,
Ben
Ben
Affleck
Affleck
is?
is my.
Oh, really?
He is like my ultimate
Hall pass?
Oh yeah,
Like,
No,
you wouldn't even care
definite
if you,
hall pass.
you
Would
didn't.
not
You wouldn't
even
care.
ask.
You wouldn't even
Not
ask.
even ask. That is like
like it's
no.
fucking happening. I don't
Yeah,
care.
Do not care. Be mad at me all your life if you want. I do not give a shit. Yeah, he's like so good.
What are we doing here?
In the studio, we've got a real barn hands. In the lead, we have Kathy Lee Gifford, a first-time player.
Hey, you pluck all in a play a G. G? What's that mean, Grandpa? Is that what G stands for? Frank, you got a new nickname.
Hold on. I gotta find
Grant,
Sean
what are
Connery.
you doing? We can't sit here and watch this right now.
Yes, we can. Hold
No,
on.
we can. No. Like, we cannot.
$69. Okay, that was 69 is how I scored your mother last night.
That is such like a fifth grade boy joke. That is so bad. Okay, what are we talking about?
Okay, come on. Are we
We gotta reel
recording?
Kate back
I love
in.
Sean Connery.
Kate woke up.
69 is how I scored
Oh
with
my
your
God.
mother.
That's like,
I know, I was
such a
trying to
classic
look-
your mama joke. My
Yes.
God.
I was trying to look up the write-in, but I got distracted by Sean Connery.
Oh, okay.
Sean
So we have a
Connery.
write-in today? Right
Yeah,
now?
we have a write-in.
Okay.
What
Come on.
else is going on? What else are we doing?
What are we doing?
Let's see. We're 69, cocaine, vibrators,
Oh my
and
God.
all these things scare you.
Not scare. I just don't want to discuss them.
I'd
Like-
rather keep all that in private.
No, just like why?
You don't
why are
wanna
they in
talk
the
about the
world? Like
Vibrators? Why aren't they in the world? Why
Okay.
would they be in the world?
Okay, what is the topic?
I'm working on it.
So what's your position on?
I don't have
Sean
one.
Connery.
What's your favorite position?
69.
With your mama.
Oh my God, how old are you people? What
For-
age? What age
41.
group am I working with? I
41.
know you're millennials, but come on.
41. Going
Why
strong
did
as-
I not find our write-in?
Are you serious right now?
Yeah.
Literally your job.
Oh,
I have no other
that's
jobs.
a second insult she's
No,
throwing
no,
at you
she's
today.
Throwing them around today.
It's not an insult, but you're the one that always reads them.
Throwing them around.
Oh, I'm never going to get over this flooring thing, am I? Okay. Well, I'll come do your glass cabinets.
Like my floors.
Well, that's all that matters. It's your home. Do what you want to do. My opinion doesn't matter.
What? I feel like I deleted it. Can
Are
we
you
talk? Can
are
we
you-
talk a little bit about how I delete emails? I delete emails. Yeah, I'm serious. I'll find it.
Go to your deleted emails.
I know. I'm gonna work on that. But yeah, I delete all emails.
I don't delete any.
That's
I've
the
got like
organizer in you.
I've got like
Mhm.
4,000 unread emails.
I do too.
You know why I deleted it? Here's why. Because I printed it
And then you didn't bring the print?
and then I left it on the printer.
Hold on, I'm pulling it up.
So when I weird thing to have in my pile.
That's so weird thing to have.
Yeah, so I deleted it and I printed it, and once I like make something printed, I just delete the email because it drives me really crazy that my email inbox is like full. So, but then I left it on the printer. Whoops. Do you have it in your because you are
fine.
my husband in girl form. I know you have every email that's ever been sent. So he has I could have him screenshot. I think he probably has almost 20,000 unread emails in his email inbox.
Oh, he has
That's-
more than me.
That sounds like I have, I think,
Un
6,000 or 7,000.
unread.
Well, 'cause
Why though?
Because he doesn't need it right now.
Why though?
He doesn't need it right now.
Because once it gets
He
out
doesn't
of, I
need
tell
it
you why.
ever.
Same reason as my hall closet. Because once it gets out of control, it's very hard to get it back under control. And then the idea of getting under control is very overwhelming and time consuming. So then you just ignore it and you let it just continue to pile up. That's my closet and my email, both in a nutshell. There you go.
But why do we let it get to this point?
Well, and I deleted that email because you are the one that keeps these.
Do we have any recollection?
Well, yeah,
as
'cause
to
we
what
can
it
go
was
through the-
about?
Yeah,
No, we can go through the website and get it though.
I remember it was about HOAs.
Oh,
Oh,
love hate. Love hate.
No, but we can get it through the where it's submitted. I just
Where it was submitted.
on the website with the messages on the website.
We can.
Well, one of y'all needs to look for it while one of y'all
I'm gonna
talks
let
to me
her look for it
because
so we can
can't have
talk
dead air.
about
Here it is.
Sean Connery.
Here it is. No, here we go. Here we go. Here you go, my friend.
Oh,
Don't look at all my
you.
dirty pictures.
I'll try not to.
Don't go to the hidden folder.
I don't want to go to the hidden folder.
Oh.
Um,
So much judgment.
I don't have any hidden folders.
You should. Sorry, Mark.
I don't.
I'm trying for you, buddy.
He lives a sad life.
Kinda.
Okay, so our subject today is I hate my HOA.
I've heard that before.
And I guess we're going to have to come up with a place where this is from. I hate my HOA in Harvard.
I was thinking Houston.
Because there's no location, but
Okay.
that's fine. I like Harvard.
Okay, we'll go with Harvard.
Harvard.
Harvard area.
Do you have to make that face? when
I
you
do.
it? Okay.
And I can do it because you made me be on video, so I can make that face.
I didn't make you do anything.
Mhm. Dear Dwelly, tell me I am not alone. I can't be the only person who does not appreciate all the Karens of the HOA. Could we have a conversation? We love our neighborhood, neighbors, and house. Well, you've got one up on me. Obviously, we didn't have a choice with the HOA when we purchased the home, and I figured it couldn't be that bad living in a neighborhood with an HOA. But oh my gosh, the drama over paint colors, dying bushes, and block parties. Are HOAs even that productive? Why do they even have to exist? I guess I just want to know if I am the only one who hates them. Signed, I hate my HOA from Harvard.
The short answer is no. She is not the only one that hates them. A lot of people hate them. But I will say they're a blessing and a curse because they tell you what you can do with your house, but they also tell your neighbor what they can do with their house.
Yeah.
And that can be a good thing if you have a crazy neighbor.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm
it-
sorry.
Or
Like if you have a neighbor that loves the color magenta
Yeah.
and wants to literally paint their house magenta and you don't have an HOA, they can do it.
I can give you an example, like
And-
a very specific.
Well,
Canyon,
seriously, that'll affect your property value.
it does. Canyon Creek neighborhood in Richardson. Super cute neighborhood. All the things. No I think there's an optional one, actually. Someone in that neighborhood decided to paint their brick home like mint green with like a muted coral door. It's
Yeah.
at first I was like,
is.
are they doing some sort of treatment on the brick? Like, what's happening? It's terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
And that's the thing is,
I should probably not be
HOAs
so specific in my examples.
And the
Would you
thing
like to get the address as well?
Probably good. Go ahead.
And I mean, yeah, they can be crazy where they tell you like, oh, your lawn is too high when it's like an inch too long or
Or
whatever.
that's the wrong weight
like,
for the trim kind of thing.
Or I will give you my own personal example. I have my house is the only one in the neighborhood with like a big retaining wall in our front yard.
Uh-huh.
The only one.
Why?
And I don't know, it's just the way the builder decided to build it. He didn't
Okay.
he didn't want to grade the yard. He just decided to put the retaining wall in. It was probably the person that originally built the house that made that decision.
Okay.
You know, do you want to grade it and pay this money, or do you want a retaining wall and pay this money? And he chose the retaining wall. Well, the challenge with the retaining wall is if it's not built correctly to begin with, it's going to start cracking.
Yep.
It's not drained well and all that kind of stuff. So in our retaining wall, we have cracks in the mortar,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that don't look that great, and we've had them repaired over time. I mean, it's fine. It's not ideal. So we got a notice from the HOA that we needed to rebuild our retaining wall.
That's super expensive.
You know what the bid was that we got?
How much?
$14,000.
Uh-huh.
was
Retaining
like-
walls are expensive.
I was like, fuck that. We're not doing that.
fuck that.
We're not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So we got it repaired again, took before and after pictures. I sent it to the HOA and I was like, this is all we're doing. This is done. And
So
they ended up being fine with it.
That's good.
But it just, the idea of them telling me that I had to spend $14,000 on my retaining wall it pissed me off, right?
Mhm.
But at the same time, you know, it keeps up the neighborhood.
it does, and it prevents people from having their fences going to hell. And if there's community services, community things like
and there's
pools,
not in mine.
there's not in your right. There's not in your.
mine.
But like if there's pools and
Mhm.
stuff,
I know you've had your own pleasant experience.
And
with
it's
them.
it's actually not the HOA that I have problems with.
Sure.
and
Yeah.
you need to
in
leave
my
that alone.
instance.
Yeah.
But
You need to.
But I will say I agree with you. I mean, we've lived in multiple neighborhoods with HOAs, and it's all varying levels of crazy.
And it depends on who's on your board.
Yes, and
That's
if
a
you have
huge
a
part of it.
reasonable HOA board that makes reasonable decisions, and you also have reasonable people living in your neighborhood, then I think it's fine.
Yeah.
We were in our prior neighborhood. We had an HOA, and it was fine to a point, and then certain people got on the board
Yeah, that's what happens.
and got on a power trip,
Yep.
Mhm.
and they had spent X amount of dollars putting in a pool in their backyard, and then a bunch of neighbors wanted to install fiberglass pools, which in the end
Who cares?
it's just a different type of pool. And if you want to take that risk, putting a fiberglass pool in Texas soil,
That's
and
on
you want to take the risk of like cracking and having that whole thing just bust under the soil and the heaves and everything, like you do you, boo. Like that's your money that you're
Mhm.
throwing
Right.
away.
hmm
But it became this giant fight in the neighborhood because the people on the board got butthurt because they had spent more money on their pool than these people were going to spend on their pool. And you have to submit the designs and submit all this stuff. And they saw how much it was. And they were just like, no, I had to spend, now listen to this is laughable now. I had to spend $50,000 on my pool. 50,000. Go with me on that. There's no way that you can spend. They're so much more expensive.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
Oh my God.
Oh,
But-
the pricing of
But it was
pools.
like
Crazy.
I had to spend $50,000 on my pool, and you are not going to put in a pool for $30,000 if I had to spend $50,000, and that's where it gets crazy.
So
I
Hey,
think.
that's not a fair justification. That's not a reason to say no.
Exactly, but
Well,
I
and
think
here's
that's
my-
where HOAs kind of.
And I think that's probably what she means with the drama and the Karens and the.
So here's my question though: is if you're on the board, you can only say yes or no to the things that are
Based on
actually
the-
written in the document. You know what I'm saying?
Right, there's
So-
bylaws that
Yes.
determine what can and can't be done.
Yes, except when people challenge you,
Right, like if there wasn't something specific in the bylaws of what kind of
or
pool
if
you
they
can,
don't challenge you. Yes, it wasn't in the bylaws.
or if it's not spelled out in the bylaws of what can and can't be done for what kinds of pools, then technically it should be able to be any pool, but they're going to argue.
They make a decision.
Right,
It
they
has
make-
to go to the architectural committee or whatever, and
Yeah.
they make a decision based on what they're given. And if it's not laid out, I mean, when they drew up the covenants for our old neighborhood, I'm sure fiberglass pools didn't even exist.
Well, and it wasn't
and
a
so
thought.
they didn't
Like,
lay
yeah,
it
'cause people
out.
don't do it a
it
lot.
wasn't a thought.
It wasn't this. So
So did
then,
they argue? And
Oh
build
yeah,
the
there was a
fiberglass?
big battle. I mean, we weren't a
Yeah.
part of it. We were
Yeah.
on the fringes watching it
Sure.
on Nextdoor. But
If you want to watch HOAs, just get next door and like you can just
oh,
see it
it's a
unfold there.
train. It is a. is a train wreck.
In order to make sure your HOA isn't crazy, you can always get on the board,
Oh,
which
I
is what
just
I ended up doing.
Mhm.
Recently?
No, this was years ago.
Okay.
And I ended up losing a friend over it.
Oh yeah.
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 I had a whole friend breakup over this
Oh.
HOA bullshit. And I was like, what am I supposed to do? Because
We-
literally, like I said, if it's in the regulations and you're on the HOA
You
board,
have to
you have
follow
to
that.
follow it. And my friend basically got pissed at me because I told her she couldn't do something
Was it
on
like
the
a
board.
basketball hoop?
It was
or
a
something?
basketball hoop, and it was funny because I had just sold a house in the neighborhood that had a basketball hoop and a court in the backyard because the people's son was a big basketball player. So they built him like a little court out in the back. And his neighbor was mad about it for years that he had to look at this basketball court from the backyard. But it wasn't against the HOA rules because it wasn't visible from the road.
Oh,
So
that's exciting.
So but I got a note from the neighbor at the time that I was selling that house, like saying he's been violating the HOA rules for years, and this is a problem, and you're going to have to disclose that to the buyer that this is a problem and everything. And I was like, okay. So then I had to go research the regulations and see if it was a violation, all that kind of stuff. Because I mean, if it had been a violation, we would have had to do something about it. It wasn't. So I already had these basketball net rules in my head. And I saw my next door neighbor, who was a really good friend of mine at the time, putting this basketball hoop up. And I knew from where they were putting it that it was a violation of HOA stuff. I literally saw her husband putting the basketball court in, and I texted her and I was like, hey, just want to let you know, because I just went through this with somebody, that where you're putting it is a violation. So, like, think about it before you put it in permanently.
Put the money into it.
I literally saw him putting it in and told her that. And they did it anyway. And her neighbor had a problem with it because they had like a.
So you're not even the one that like submitted the complaint or anything to HOA.
Oh,
about
no,
it.
absolutely not. No.
Yeah.
I didn't care. What my. I mean.
Yeah.
You're
I
just
didn't-
trying to help her out.
Yeah, I was just trying to help her out before she made that mistake and
Yeah.
knew that it was a violation. So she literally put it in knowing that it could be a problem. Well, then her neighbor had a problem with it because they had little dogs, and the way that the basketball court was situated, the ball could have gone over into her yard and hit her little dogs, her little chihuahuas and stuff, which that could be a problem. Anyway,
Yeah, but that's like that's a reach. But.
it's a reach, but she was pissed.
Yeah.
And it was literally like super close to their yard and everything anyway. And they were going to be staring at it from their yard all the time. So I get it. So anyway, they brought it to the HOA board, which I was on. And I was like, okay, like we have to tell her to take it down. There's no alternative.
Mm-mm.
And they did this whole like appeal and everything else. And it was just like, and then she just started ignoring me. And she was like, it's just gotten really awkward after this basketball court thing. And I was like, okay. Well,
You
not
tried
hard
to
for
like
me.
do a favor.
Totally. So, yeah.
But
Lost a friend over an HOA.
and that's the hard thing. But I mean, you talk about like PTA, like there's PTA drama and people get all like bent out of shape, but it's still a good thing. It brings a good,
Right.
it's bringing a service to the school. Like
My husband was on an HOA board and we got sued.
I remember that. Your condo.
So there's
your
that.
condo and
he like personally got sued.
Oh, he got personally named in the lawsuit. Yeah, we didn't know it because we had moved out of Nebraska, but his name was still on he had left the board a year and a half earlier. But they had not, because it was defunct, they had not taken his name off of the board of directors. And so someone sued the HOA and personally named all of the directors. And so when we went to buy our house, when we moved down here, or no, it was when we went to get financing for,
for the new house.
because it was financing for the house that we built, the last house we were in. We went to get financing and we couldn't get approved because we were party to a lawsuit that we didn't realize we were party to.
He like get served and like
No, because we didn't live in Nebraska anymore, and
Nice.
it was in Nebraska. Like they never served us. We had
and
no idea.
Condos are a whole different animal than like single family homes. So this,
As far
I'm
as
assuming,
HOAs?
yeah, I'm
Oh,
assuming
really?
this lady is.
Well, yeah, this was a condo, but it was like a townhouse. Like it wasn't.
yeah, but you're jointly,
yeah.
you're
Your buildings are
You're-
attached.
you're in a joint ownership situation.
Mhm.
So the
Yeah.
condo stuff and HOA stuff is way different.
Yeah.
And they can they have a lot more power, and you have a lot.
Condo HOAs do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Well,
I mean, and because they have to take care of a lot more exterior stuff than,
yeah.
I mean, unless there's like community pools and stuff like that in the neighborhood.
Well, and they have collective insurance and stuff like that
Yeah.
for roofs and things like that. So
Right.
that's one of the advantages of a condo and paying those HOA dues monthly, which are typically like $200, $500 or whatever, but you're
Yeah.
not paying the monthly for your insurance as high. Like you're only really paying for interior insurance and things like that with
Mhm.
those.
Right.
But yeah, it was a totally different animal. But HOAs are, I mean, I tell everybody it's a blessing and a curse.
It's a necessary
I think-
evil is what it is.
But I think it's the same thing with everything in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
You give it's who you put in a position of power.
Mhm.
Every
Yeah.
intention of
Yeah.
the HOA, I think, is true and right,
Really
and I
good.
think there's a definite point to having that governing body. But if you choose the wrong people to put into the position of power, they're going to do things that are not what it's intended for.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So I think it's just, unfortunately, it's just like living in our country. Like you pick the wrong people and shit hits the fan.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you can complain about it. You can do something about it. You can try to join the board. You can move.
Right.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
just figure out what's the lesser of the evils
Yeah.
that you're annoyed with
Yep.
and do that.
Because even if you move out to an area that doesn't have an HOA, I mean, and typically any new neighborhood these days is going to have an HOA.
Yes.
So
you need like acreage.
yeah, you need like an acre or two. So even if you move out to an acre or two, you could have that person move next to you that has all that shit in their yard
Oh, yeah.
and all the overgrown stuff and
It's like
everything.
a landfill.
And it could
Uh-huh.
definitely be. And in that Canyon Creek area that you mentioned,
Mhm.
there are homes like that. And the front yard is like crazy with all
Oh.
kinds of crazy overgrown stuff.
Oh yeah. I mean,
So-
it's a super, super nice neighborhood.
Yeah, but then you always have that one that is really weird, and it does.
I mean, it is like mint green.
It literally does affect the property values around it.
Uh-huh.
It literally does.
100%, and it should.
So, you know,
Because it looks terrible.
yeah.
I'm not
I want to write them
anti.
a letter.
I'm definitely not anti HOA,
I'm not
but I
either.
have experienced
I'm anti
the
Karens.
gamut
Same.
where it goes from like, oh, this is very helpful and valuable service that they're providing to these people are batshit fucking crazy
Yeah.
and
So,
should
yeah.
never people ever. Like,
Well,
you
and you
shouldn't
know,
people
the-
anymore.
The other thing about HOAs that people don't realize is how much it costs when you buy or sell a house with the HOA fees. They are fucking ridiculous. They
Oh,
just literally for the
Yeah,
HOA
I don't know that.
like management company is typically most of them have management companies. They are
Mhm.
not typically managed by like the people in the neighborhood. That's very unusual, really. So typically they have a management company, and literally to get a buyer the documentation on the HOA stuff during the process of the contract, it will cost you probably around $500 to get somebody
Just to get the documents?
Yes, to get somebody to push that button and send that email to the title company for the HOA documents. The seller typically has to pay that documentation fee of about $500.
oh, I would like
It
to be
is
the person.
so
pushing
That's
the
just them
button.
like using their position of like, you have to deal with us.
100%. And then
And it'd
not
bend them
only
over the
that,
table.
but then there's a transfer fee.
Mm-hmm.
There's typically like a capital reserve fee at
Mhm.
closing. So you're looking at HOA fees at closing of typically between $1,000 and $1,500 at closing. That
Wow.
money
Yeah.
that adds. And then
That's
of course you
crazy.
got the dues per month and,
And then
stuff
the
like that
dudes
too.
on top of that.
So just the fees alone that these management companies are making is ungodly. Like if you want to go into a business that you're probably never
Should we
going to have
start
to,
like should we start an HOA management
yeah,
company?
I think so. 'Cause
Oh,
they're
God.
ridiculous.
Let's do it.
Would hate, but
They're ridiculous.
Maybe you can make a difference in the
Staying-
HOA world, Kate.
staying on we're not talking about the elephant in the room. I can see from the other side of things why the management companies need and the HOAs have the fees they have.
Oh, because when they have to deal with certain circumstances, such
Yes.
as
Because when they have to deal with idiots.
right, like if people are trying to abuse what the HOA is doing, if they're trying to abuse the documents, or they're trying to like use its bylaws to force certain things, it creates a huge headache and a huge administrative mess for these
and
management
a huge
companies,
lawsuit
and a huge lawsuit
that they
potentially.
don't necessarily need to take on. But if they have to take it on, then they have to take it on. I mean, what do? You get sued. You can't just be like, no, thank you.
No.
I mean, because
I'm
if
not
you could, I would've
interested
done
in
that.
being served today. It's kind of like I got
Yeah.
so
no, thanks. I'm good.
we had an employee that was with us for a short period. I think it was last summer. Well, I started getting contacted by this attorney being like, hey, I really need to talk to you about so-and-so. Can you please call me? And he's texting and calling. And honestly, at first, the way that he had said it in the voicemail, I assumed it was calling for like an employment reference because I'll get those
Sure.
calls. And it was kind of one of those things where I was busy. I was kind of putting it was low priority. Finally, I read it more seriously when I got an email from him and I realized he was an attorney. He's like, I don't want to have to subpoena you, but I need to talk to you about this gentleman. And I was like, oh, fuck. So then I called him and it wasn't an employment reference. It was actually because this old employee needed there's nothing I can do for him. He got himself in trouble. But his defense attorney wanted me to be like a character witness. I was
So
like, I don't even remember him.
So what you're saying is the HOA fees and things like that.
I mean, it
they
can be
need
They can
a
be
pool of
justified.
money.
It can be justified because they have to cover their asses
Well-
too because there's crazy people.
Yeah.
The whole litigious, the whole idea, when there's somebody in there that's litigious and there's going to be fees everywhere because they're creating all this extra work and somebody has to manage it and go and do all these things. Like a transfer fee like that, they're not charging $500 because that's what it costs to do that transfer. They're doing $500 because they have this bigger overhead to deal with
Yeah.
assholes.
Yes, exactly. They have
Assholes
to-
cost us money.
they just do. And that's
Yeah.
their whole goal in life is to make everything miserable for everyone.
because they're unhappy.
Because they're
though.
assholes.
But
Because they're
if-
assholes.
But it's because he's unhappy and he's projecting his unhappiness, and you should maybe meet him with empathy.
Nope.
Okay.
We can't talk about the specifics of this, but someday maybe
We
we
can't
can.
talk about Bruno.
No.
Isn't that a song?
No.
And it's from that movie.
It is. You're right.
What's it called? The movie
Encanto?
Encanto. I always think of Incontinent.
That's not what
Oh.
it's called.
Okay.
On that note,
Yeah. So I don't know if we answered. I think the answer to our
But I
question
think it's a
is
necessary evil.
People love them. People hate them. I have clients all the time. It's the same as swimming pools. People say, I have to have a swimming pool, or I don't want a swimming pool.
yeah.
Or they say, I have to have an HOA, or I do not want an HOA. And it's usually like, it's love-hate. It's 50-50.
But
think
here's the
the-
reality: if you have an HOA, just follow the fucking rules.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, maybe you don't like it, but like, just follow the rules, and then you won't have an issue with it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Kind of.
Unfortunately,
You
the
know,
rules are
sometimes the rules
fluid.
are fluid.
And
Sometimes they tell you
sometimes-
you're following the rules and you're
Yes.
not.
Sometimes even when you think you're following the rules,
and you're
That's
not.
true.
you
Oh.
get told that you're not, even
Yeah.
when you are. So who knows?
Yeah, but-
Who really knows? I think that what we could say is that HOAs are like opinions and assholes.
Everybody has them.
Everybody has one.
I don't have an HOA.
You don't have an asshole?
I have an asshole.
We'll have to dig into that
I have
later
an asshole.
in another
I have
episode.
2 nipples. Just
Sean
2.
Connery says,
Here we go.
Does Sean Connery?
let's not talk about your asshole anymore.
Okay, doke. On that note.
On that note,
Oh, goodness. Thanks for joining us this week on the Dwell Well podcast. We'd love to hear from you. You can submit your write-ins at www.dwellwellpodcast.com. We can't wait to hear from you. We'll see you next week.